Hello guys, welcome back to dielectric materials. All dielectric materials are insulators. These are mainly used to store the electrical energy. The examples of dielectric materials are glasses, ceramics, polymers, etc. In this video, I am going to discuss about temperature and frequency dependence of polarization and a determination of dielectric constant. Let me first explain what is polarization. The separation of negative and positive charges in the presence of electric field is known as polarization. That is, the process of producing electric dipoles by an electric field is known as polarization. We have different polarization mechanisms: electronic polarization, ionic polarization, orientation polarization, and space charge polarization. Total polarization of a dielectric material is sum of all polarizations. Okay, now let us move to temperature and frequency dependence of polarization. Temperature dependence of polarization. Electronic and ionic polarizations are independent of temperature. The orientation and space charge polarizations are dependent of temperature. Orientation polarization is inversely proportional to the temperature. Orientation polarization decreases when the temperature increases because the random nature decreases the tendency of permanent dipoles to align along the field direction. This is about temperature dependence of polarization. Now let us look into frequency dependence of polarization. In many practical applications, a dielectric material is subjected to an AC field. We know that an AC field changes its direction with time. With each direction reversals, dipoles are required to follow the field reversals in order to contribute to the total polarization of a dielectric material. The average time taken by the dipoles to reorient in the field direction is known as relaxation time. The relaxation times are different for different kinds of polarization mechanisms. The reciprocal of relaxation time is known as the relaxation frequency. In this slide, the graph represents the dependence of polarization on frequency of the electric field. The frequency of the applied field is shown on the x-axis and it is divided into two parts: electrical frequencies and optical frequencies. And electrical frequencies again divided into power, audio, radio, and optical frequencies are divided into infrared, visible, and ultraviolet. And the total polarization is taken on the y-axis. Now let us see how the polarization depends on different frequency regions. In audio frequency region, all types of polarizations are possible. Hence, the total polarization is the sum of electronic, ionic, orientation, and space charge polarization. But the contribution of space charge polarization is very small. Hence, the space charge polarization can be neglected. The orientation polarization, which is effective at low frequencies, is damped out for higher frequencies. That is, if the frequency of the applied electric field is much higher than the relaxation frequency of the dipoles cannot reverse fast enough. Hence, in the radio frequency region, orientation polarization ceases, then the total polarization is the sum of electronic and ionic polarization. Again, typically in the infrared region, the ionic polarization fails to follow the field reversals due to the inertia of the systems, and the contribution of ionic polarization ceases. In this region, only electronic polarization contributes to the total polarization. Therefore, the total polarization is equivalent to the electronic polarization. In the ultraviolet region, the electron cloud too fails to follow the field alterations, and the electronic contribution to the polarization ceases. Consequently, the total polarization becomes minimum, or it is equivalent to 0. Thus, at low frequencies, all the 4 polarizations will occur and the total polarization is very high. But at high frequencies, the value of the total polarization is very small. Now, let us see the comparison of types of polarization. In this table, here the definitions of different polarizations, examples of dielectric materials, temperature dependence, relaxation time, power loss, frequency range, and polarizability expressions for different polarization mechanisms are given. Now, let us move to the determination of dielectric constant using shearing bridge method. Shearing bridge is used to measure the capacitance of the capacitor and measurement of relative permittivity. In this slide, the figure represents the circuit of shearing bridge. In this circuit, C1 is the unknown capacitance whose value is to be determined with the series electrical resistance R1. C2 is a standard capacitor, C4 is a variable capacitor, R3 is a variable non-inductive resistor, and R4 is pure resistor connected parallel to the capacitor C4. And supply, AC supply is connected between 2 points A and C, and the detector is connected between B and D. In the picture it is shown. Now let us see the theory part of the shearing bridge. First, inserting C1, the bridge should be balanced by adjusting R3, as R3 is variable resistor. When the circuit in the current flowing through the detector becomes 0, then Wheatstone's bridge principle can be written as P by Q is equal to R by S, where P is equal to R1 plus 1 by J omega C1. R1 is the resistance of the series resistor, and 1 by J omega C1 is the reactance of the capacitor C1, and Q is equal to R3 and R is equal to 1 by J omega C2. It is the reactance of the capacitor C2. And as R4 and C4 are connected in parallel, hence the resistance is given by 1 by S is equal to 1 by R plus 1 by J omega C4. That is equivalent to 1 by R4 plus J omega C4 is equal to 1 plus J omega C4 R4 by R4, and taking the reciprocal of this equation, we get S is equal to R4 by 1 plus J omega C4 into R4. Substituting the values of P, Q, R and S in the above equation, we get R1 plus 1 by J omega C1 by R3 is equivalent to 1 by J omega C1 by R4 by 1 plus J omega C4 into R4. Taking cross multiplication, we get R1 plus 1 by j omega C1 into R4 is equivalent to R3 into 1 plus j omega C4 R4 by j omega C2, which is equivalent to R1 into R4, and the second term in this left side is divided and multiplied with j. We get j R3 by omega C1 is equivalent to minus j R3 by omega C2 plus R3 R4 C4 by C2, equating the real and imaginary parts and separating, we get R1, that is the series resistance connected to C1 capacitor, is given by C4 R3 by C2, and C1 is equal to R4 by C1 is equal to R4 by R3 into C2, and we need this equation, that is C1 is equal to R4 by R3 and C2, as R4 and C2 are standard capacitors and capacitor and resistor. By knowing the value of R3, just we can find out the value C1. Now let us see the procedure of finding the capacitance of a capacitor using sharing bridge. First, in setting C1, the bridge should be balanced by adjusting R3. Then dial of R3 gives directly the capacitance of capacitor C1. Now the dielectric specimen, which should be in the size of C1, is inserted between the plates of C1. Once again the bridge is balanced. The dial reading in R3 will give the value of new capacitance C1 dash. Then the dielectric constant of the specimen is given by the capacity of a capacitor with the dielectric material and capacitance of a capacitor without dielectric material, that is dielectric constant is equivalent to C1 dash by C1. The dielectric constant can be defined as the ratio of capacitance of a capacitor with a dielectric material to the capacitance of a capacitor without dielectric material. Thank you.